Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Dina and I are really thrilled to welcome you today to the Think Differently by Design listening tour with your hosts, Dina Redinger and Sharon Weinstein, co-authors of the book, Think Differently. We invite you to engage with your peers and with us as we address issues related to nurses, nursing, and the workforce. In our studies of women in leadership positions, we have found that success happens when we ask the right questions and solve the right problems. Our respective healthcare careers and writing careers make us uniquely qualified for this role as facilitators. But today, we will not be interviewing someone else. Instead, we invite you to chime in to our discussion between the two of us and all of you as we talk about what is really happening out there. We want to share with you the success of the programs that we've done thus far,
Mhm.
some tidbits and hints, nuggets from those we've already interviewed,
Yeah.
and really get to the core of why, in fact, we need to shift our paradigm and perhaps start to think differently. So let's get started, Dina.
Oh, great introduction. Thank you, Sharon, and welcome everyone to our show. There is a great article right now, and it's called The Business Case for Clinician Wellness. It is evidence based medicine, basically, evidence based knowledge around what is really needed to put the health back into healthcare. And I want to pose back a question and probably infuse some of the things that we've learned over the last couple of weeks here, Sharon, and really, give me some thoughts around how do leaders take charge?
How do leaders take charge? That's a great question. Leaders have different methods of taking charge. They all do it their own way. There is no set in stone example. It's not like Dr. Zeus, or I'm sorry, Dr. Spock, who people used to follow and think that that was the Bible on how to raise your kids.
Mhm.
When you had your own kid and you brought them home from the hospital, it was not quite the same thing. It was not by the book. So there is no by the book method. The challenge is that for many years, people have managed by walking around or by managing by walking around. The important thing here is not to lead from a silo. You cannot
Mhm.
be contained in a silo and understand the bigger picture of what's happening out there. So,
Right.
Dina, citing that article
Yeah.
and the Wellness Partner Program, the whole pairing and accountability
Hmm.
really reflects back into thinking differently. It's all about our workforce, our
Yep.
nursing future.
Yep.
It's your future, folks. You are the nurses. You
Right.
are those who are providing care now on the front lines and will provide care in the future, or perhaps in academia, are creating next generation nurses.
Yep.
So you need to take a leadership role by exploring the concept of looking at what you're doing quite differently.
Yep.
And,
Thank
and
you.
clearly, Dina, don't you think Ohio State put the topic on the map?
Yeah, absolutely. Bernadette Meldick was a chief wellness officer at the Ohio State University, and they surveyed over 5,000 nurses. And what they found is that 84% are burned out and 64% plan to leave. So we know it's a crisis. We have a medical crisis on our hands right now. And, when you go back and you look at, well, how do we fix that problem? One of the things that Ohio State Culture did of wellness is talk about that partnership program. We do a lot of this, Sharon, with our diagnostic thinking groups and really try to build some of that accountability, and I hear this quite often, as I'm sure you do in healthcare systems, when people feel burned out, it's really hard to reach out. In reaching out at the time when you're feeling the way that you're feeling, having something set up so that you have a partnership, somebody who's accountable, and you're saying, you know what, I'm not doing really well today. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling burned out. Maybe I just feel just like I'm going to give up. Having somebody there, that phone a friend, that accountability was one of their key things that they put into place, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. What they did, and it said that the outcome. Let's talk about the outcome because the evidence is very telling. 98% of the participating nurses said that the Wellness Partner Program helped them engage in self care and wellness. 94% said that it helped them improve their mental and physical health. So you can't go wrong with having a buddy or a partnership program. If you're in the
Exactly.
health system right now and you know that it's tough and it's draining and you can see some of the fallout of retention, There's got to be some discussion around how to create these partner programs because I think they're invaluable. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Sharon.
Two things. First of all, Ohio State definitely is at the helm of workplace wellness. There is no question. And Bernie Melnick really is a champion for this and always has been. What's really important, though, is that they built a culture of wellness. Again, not from a silo. The culture, the system allowed them to share this concept system-wide.
Yeah.
So everyone was engaged in the process, and it's only then that you see the ROI.
Yeah.
The real ROI, Dina, is not in dollars and cents. While that's important and people worry about the dollars,
yeah,
what's more important is those dollars are going to reflect the number of bodies who are available to provide care.
Yes.
The people who are not just present or creating presence, but actually in the throes of providing care. Not present for the moment, but present for the long term.
Yep.
That's the value of strategic partnering. Caring Connections, Partnering for Success. We've talked about it with associations and others across the globe for years. But when you take it back down to its root, and the root is right at the health system itself, in the hospital, in the clinic, in the physician's office, wherever care is delivered at the university level, how beneficial is it to have somebody, you're right, who can be your buddy, who can be your friend, who's going to help you get out of the water, get out of the ditch, and move back on.
Right. And if you're in middle management and you can see a lot of things that maybe senior leadership, corporate can't see. Optum just had a release of their article in November of 2022 this year, and the qualities of a sustainable workforce really need two main things: attracting, retaining talent is really around training and education. It's almost like asking senior leadership, take a step back, slow down your thinking. The numbers will come if you're solving the right problem. The right problem right now is really the burnout, the fallout, the ill health of the healthcare system that we have right now. And for the people that are delivering that, we have to wake up and get some people together to be able to make a case for the cost of not addressing this issue. The cost of not addressing it is bigger than the actual cost of providing training. So we need to go back and take a look at the cost of a non-decision versus, a certain decision. So I really want to challenge even senior leaders to take a little step back and say, okay, let's take in the cost of whatever we're trying to do. Is it solving the problem? Are we retaining? What's the health of our, mental health of our healthcare force, and allowing people to have those dialogue sessions in a safe zone. A lot of people don't even have time to think about what does safe mean because they're so taxed with the day-to-day work. So how do people be able to stop and really give themselves permission to say, you know what, I need more. Help me.
Right.
I need more.
That's exactly right. Because no matter what kind of a fancy system you have or how much money you put into it, it doesn't really matter if it doesn't solve the core issue. The core issue right now is that the burnout is what is causing the fallout. And the fallout is contributing to, probably, you're right, the biggest health crisis we've ever had.
Yep.
The programs are important. Hospitals need to fix system issues at the system level because they are contributing to the problem, not solving it.
Yeah.
There's too much bureaucracy.
Yeah, the outcome. Let's talk about the outcome of what they found, which I thought was really interesting. The impact of Ohio State's commitment to wellness has worked at all levels. You talked about this, Sharon, all levels, right? The cumulative productivity net savings of more than $15 million from wellness program across the university, 3.65 return on investment for every dollar invested in wellness. It's an investment. So if we don't figure out where to put the investment, it's got to be on the individual. How do we help the health, mental health, and the physical health of the individual, or we're never going to put the health back into healthcare?
That's right.
Never at all.
Right.
Do you remember what Christy Dempsey shared that was really important to her? And then she wrote a book about it too. What were two things? Do you remember?
She talked a little bit about the caring connections.
Caring connections.
You want to explore that a little bit?
Yeah, I do. It is really around care and connection, which is kind of what Ohio State did. They created the partnership for connection. They created the virtual opportunity to share their concerns in safe zones. So it's creating connection, right? there's always something that we always talk about influence. How do we influence big systems? And we talk about stories. One of the things that I truly believe in is that we have to stop ourselves long enough to listen to the story of the other person. It's not about us. Influence comes around how can we help other people? How can we help those across the table for us that are giving us what we need the most right now is really putting the health back into healthcare because it's truly broken and it is a crisis, very much so. Yeah.
But it is going to start at the foundational level.
Yeah.
You can't just all of a sudden look at a big idea and say, okay, let's go do that. That sounds like a great idea. It doesn't
Right.
work that way.
Right.
You have to have that foundation, the base
Right.
that allows you to grow that type of a system
Right.
that lets people know
Yeah.
that you have them and
Yeah.
their well-being
Absolutely.
at the middle of this crisis, that you
Yes.
care about them.
Yes. You know, and they covered this really well too in this business case for clinician wellness and really talked about every healthcare worker and physicians included. And there's a lot to make the whole team system work, you know. So what value would this be? You know, I think that's the beauty of, I think, evidence-based. We know it works. So then what's the fear? You know, what's holding people back, which is my big question all the time, is what holds people back from making sure that you know you're solving the right problem, because I truly believe on the other side of all of this stuff that we're talking about, Sharon, the numbers come. I know that. I believe that. You take care of the root cause problems, things will change on the other end. But for people that have the fear of making a critical decision, a shift that's not really well accepted, what would you share with your knowledge and other healthcare leaders?
I think that it is so important to remove those limiting beliefs, those fears that are holding you back. And to me, the greatest way to do that, the easiest way to do that, is to start to think differently. We've covered it in the book that we wrote, Dina. We've
Yep.
covered it in our retreats. We have two
Yep.
more retreats coming up this year.
Yep.
The evidence shows, our own evidence, as a result of the folks we've surveyed from all of the sessions that individually and collectively have been done, this system works. When you start to think differently and
Yep.
you start to ask the right questions,
Yep.
you solve the right problems.
Yes.
When we look at this big picture of clinician well-being, regardless of what type of clinician it is or what level of interprofessional discipline, it's important that become part of the root system. It become a core operating principle of the system itself.
Yep.
That means that hospitals and health systems too need to start thinking differently. What advice would you give them, Dina?
You know, it kind of goes back to what we know about what's in the world today. We take precision medicine and we solve that problem, right? If we take this thinking process and make it more precise, make it more exact, making sure that we actually do know what's happening underneath for the needs of the people in healthcare, then we are going to be able to give them the right strategies. There's nothing more costly than to take action on something that's not going to work or what you think is going to work. Thinking doesn't really matter to anyone. Knowing matters a lot. So you're going to have to really dig very deep, because 100% of the time, Sharon, you and I found that most people are solving the wrong problem most of the time. So if we can just ask ourselves the deeper critical questions and the cost of that action or the cost of inactivity, and really take a very classical game theory approach to how we want to approach this critical human problem that we have, we may be able to crack that code. But without it, people are going to have to step in and think differently.
And you and I have seen that, Dina, in one of our pharma studies with the cost of inactivity. By not taking action, what did that cost that particular organization?
Yeah,
billions of dollars. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
Think about rolling that money and turning it back into a collective wellness initiative that allows everyone to be whole, feel appreciated, and that becomes part of the culture that escalates that health system to the top.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to reach across the table and find other people that can come together as a group to be able to say, hey, we have something we want to share. This is what we need. Hopefully, at some point, senior leadership has to take, a pause to be able to give people that opportunity to speak, right? Give them the pause. I think that was one of the key learnings over the last 6 weeks, is that Everybody is so furiously working. They're short staffed. People are calling in. We have, different ways of solving the systems in healthcare with contracts, however that may be. We're just trying to fix the problem. There's so much fixing of just the small problems. We don't even have time to really have people voice around what are the needs and wants that they have as individuals to feel some sense of safety, feel some sense of, I think it's called they call it just humanizing healthcare,
Yes.
right?
Humanizing healthcare.
Humanizing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. When you talk about fixing the problems, Dina, we're band-aiding the problems. We're not fixing anything.
Right. Yeah.
That's perhaps the biggest issue. It's time to remove the band-aid once and for all.
Right.
Get to the root cause of the illness. You know that in healthcare, that's what we're always looking for.
Yep.
Where are those symptoms coming from?
Right.
What is it related to? Let's find the real root. And I think that I would like to invite those listeners today and from all of our sessions to really consider a mini Think Differently session with us.
Yes. Yes.
To have us come in via screen or in person. It can be hybrid. It can be whatever platform you desire. We're willing to come in for a couple of hours and give you a taste of what is available, of what you can glean from this experience.
Yes. And the beauty of it is that you don't know what you don't know that you already know, because some of that really deep thinking of all the answers lies deep within us. It's really hard to do this sometimes, being part of the system. Having somebody like Sharon and I coming in from the outside, we have no bias of anything. We're walking in there with our hearts to help. We want to help you get past a certain situation so that you have strategies to move forward, but strategies that are solving the right problem. That is critical. I can't stress that enough. How many people are not solving the right problem? And inadvertently, if you find yourself solving the wrong problem, it creates more, it costs you more money. So there's an emotional cost, there's a physical cost, there's a burnout cost, there's a cost to the system, there's a cost to patient care, there's a cost to errors, there's a cost to quality. So no matter what, this type of thinking is critical for everyone. And when we're talking about healthcare, we really want to put the health back into healthcare. But we have two good opportunities coming, Sharon. One of them I want to speak to is K-Bar-L Ranch. It's an amazing place. It is a life-changing place that we have. We're going to have a retreat that's going to be coming up in June for senior executives that really want to step in and think differently. And then we got something that's going to be coming a little bit later around the Midwest here that is going to be around a special time of year in Branson, Missouri. So we're really excited that we want to put something out there and make sure that you all know that we are here to help you think differently. If we want something different, we're going to have to think differently.
Exactly. And now, Dina, with that, it's time for a close and an invitation to join us the week following New Year's as we welcome again your peers to the program. If you'd like to participate on the program and be interviewed, please do reach out to us. We'd love to hear your views on how to put the health back into healthcare. In the interim, we wish you and yours and everyone involved in your system a very happy and prosperous new year.
Yes.
May it be healthy, may it be happy, may it be rich, and may you please start to think differently.
Yes. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Take care.
Thank you, Sharon. Bye.